That's cool. Yeah, so you've kind of had like two, almost two different careers where you kind of learned all this like mechanical stuff and maybe even the makeup and everything, but then you totally had to transition to digital
Yeah.
and
And
like
the weird
effects and
thing
everything.
is when I started this stuff, we couldn't have imagined how fast things would change and where it was going to go. When I
Hmm.
was just starting out, digitals were still the digital stuff was still very, very crude. Nobody would thought it would get as good as it did as quick. And I consider myself lucky because I was able to do work in the photochemical days and the rubber and plastic days, um, and make that switch to where things are totally digital now. We still have plenty of makeup effects, practical stuff that happens. I'm a big fan of practical,
Hmm.
but you can also do amazing things with the computer. So I like the fact that when I approach stuff, when I'm looking at how things can be done, I'm looking at the entire spectrum of how it can be done, and I like to have that foundation in my career that I can actually think of things that way. Because I like to approach a shot. I don't do this so much anymore. I don't do visual effects supervision, but back when I did, I had my saying was the shot dictates the means, which means that you look at what needs to be done, and there's going to be a logical way to do it. If you've got a shack that blows up, build it quarter scale and blow it up. That makes the most sense.
Uh-huh.
If you have water in the effect, build it as big as you can and use real water, unless it's too big. And then now we can do things really cool, water effect wise, digitally. It's like things like giant waterfalls and stuff like that. So there's every shot. There's a logical way to approach it. That's just the way that I think, and a lot of that is based on having had to deal with all these different disciplines and ways of doing things through the years.
Hmm.
30 years now.
Yeah.
My mind.
Yeah, that's cool. So I mean, when you'll recommend like doing a small model rather than, doing it a full thing with CGI or something, would like why would you what would be the reasons for either one?
Well, doing destruction in the computer is computationally intensive and difficult to get just right. You'll do iteration after iteration after iteration after iteration. Whereas, say you're trying to simulate like a shack getting blown apart, the all the things that you get for free when you just take a shack and put a quarter stick of dynamite in it and a couple bags of gasoline, you get it all for free. The shockwave that happens, the splintering of the wood, the way that the flames develop and move out. If you shoot it slow motion, how all that stuff happens and falls apart. Doing all that in the computer, you will spend weeks and weeks just trying to get it right to make it look right. And half the time, it never really works.
Hmm.
So, you know, not to say if you if you don't do it right when you build it and blow it up, you might have to do it again because if you that you can screw that up too. But
Right.
just the simulations that are required to do that stuff are also super computationally intensive. They take you know big mega computers, hours if not days for every simulation that you run. And you're basically giving it all the rules to run under, saying this is what's going to happen inside. All this particle force is going to go outside. It's going to hit these things. These pieces are going to splinter this way because they're weak here and here and here. You have to lay all the rules out for it. And
Yeah.
it doesn't look right. So you'll do it once and it'll look terrible. You go back and refine the rules and model the thing differently or break it apart differently. Simulate it again. It takes a couple days of it to figure out the simulation on it. So it's just quicker and easier to hire a team of experienced miniature builders who know what's going to happen in the shot, and then just hire a properly uh, trained pyrotechnician to blow it apart.
Hmm. That's cool. Yeah, and you have when you have both backgrounds, you can decide on that, which so you are kind of in a unique spot.
Yeah.
So do you think, I mean, as things get better and better though, do you think that like building, miniatures and doing all this stuff is gonna totally be gone, or do you think there'll always be a spot for it maybe?
Uh, it's the trend is less and less and less. So I have to suppose